so, some leftist based in Canada, I was turned on to this sick individual, and I found this.
Two, check. Two, hello. Check 2. How's it going, folks? How's it going, chat? It's nice to see you. Sorry I'm a little late. This is just going to be a check-in. This is just a check-in stream. I was really planning on doing a full week of streaming for the first time in a while. And I am doing some parenting again today. So I'm just very briefly, I wanted to log on, get a little chit-chat going, you know, hang out just a little bit. And that's all. How's everyone doing? How's it going, folks?
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Waldo's, thanks for the 29 months of Prime. And thanks, Diego, as well for the 43 months of Prime. Before the stream even started. I don't even know if Diego's here. Diego might be losing his streak right now. Oh, there he is. He's still there. We've got Diego. Summer day camp affected by worldwide IT outage. No, the day camp doesn't really start until August. So it's just been like trying to figure stuff out prior to that. It's the kind of thing where like childcare is really expensive, so it's like you either choose to spend lots of money on childcare or you take time off of working to not spend the money. So this is kind of the option I've been faced with for most of the summer, and as a result I've opted to just not work and figure that out later. Figure out that whole problem later. And just buy a little cage and a water bowl. Yeah. Easy. A little crate. Make it all nice and comfy. I would never do such a thing. There's no day camp or playgrounds provided by Parks Department. No, there's no free day camps that I know of. Anyway, he's in camp most of August. So, it's just figuring out time. He was up at a cottage the last couple of days. Now he's here for a couple of days. I'm going to be going back to the cottage after. It's all right. We deal. We adapt. He really enjoyed playing Helldivers that time. He talked about it for like multiple weeks afterwards. He had a great time with that. It is good color commentary. Anyway, I didn't really want a game though, just because there's enough going on to talk about probably. So I was hoping to maybe just zoom through some of that. Just blast through some of that. Some of the comings and goings. The news of the day. Oh, I've been having a nice day so far. We just got back from the park. We went to the park. We got some ice cream. I just drank an energy drink, which don't really feel like it affected me all that much. My brother's coming for a little visit in a little bit. That'll be fun too. Yeah, psychologically, I just wanted to I wanted to at least have 5 straight days of streaming after taking 3 weeks off. And maybe we can make the number go up a little. Maybe the number could go up a little bit. Is that so crazy? Is that so crazy to think about? You have a brother? I have 2 brothers. Yeah, I got 2 older brothers. And my brother that's visiting, he's been in Germany the last couple of years for a work opportunity. And he just got back to Canada.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Number go up TRRS Rob Knife.
Useless. Thanks so much for 30 months tier 1. Very much appreciated. That's right. Sometimes Lodate, even though we come from very different backgrounds, there's a lot of crossover, I don't totally understand. There must be something in the stars that brought us together. I also have 2 older brothers and prefer squibs over CGI. Me and Rob are the same. FR. Yeah, that's pretty much all you need. That's pretty much all it is. That's my entire personality. The squib thing. Squibs and wearing funky glasses. That's my main personality traits. And wearing little shorts as well. And Star Wars. What's funny is that I like Star Wars, but Star Wars was never my big thing. There was other properties and other big sci-fi stuff that I liked way more than Star Wars. I don't know why it's become such a talking point. I guess for whatever reason, probably because of its popularity, Star Wars has just become this kind of cultural touch point, cultural signpost. I just can't help but discuss it. I like it, but I was never obsessed with Star Wars. I was obsessed with Alien, and then when Dakadoon saying you need to see the new Alien movie Popcorn Bucket. I'm actually looking forward to seeing that film. What I don't understand though is if you're looking at the Alien stuff, you can't go with the egg. There's an egg Wouldn't that be better than like this weird like phallic alien head popcorn bucket? Like, why not just have the egg? It's like an oval. You can just reach right in there and eat the popcorn, you know? They wanted to pivot to phallic shape for this one. I guess maybe they wanted to get those clicks, the meme clicks, like the Dune popcorn bucket. We're doing Last Jedi Discourse again? Absolutely. Every day. Every day we got to block out between 15 minutes and like 3 hours to discuss this film. Always looking to fill more time, exactly. As a movie guy, would you say Gladiator was a good movie, great movie, or other? I would say it's good. I haven't seen it in like 20 years. It's not a movie that I've seen like repeatedly. I watched it like probably around the time that it first came out, but I mean, it's Ridley Scott. It's iconic, you know. There's a lot to like about it, but I haven't seen it in years and years and years. It was really funny seeing because everything has to be this culture war bullshit. People freaking out about the Denzel Washington in the sequel, and now the trailer has like more down votes because of Denzel Washington. How's this man? This man's talking in the New York accent in ancient Rome. It's ahistorical. Well, what language were they speaking in ancient Rome? Were they speaking modern English with a Shakespearean English accent in ancient Rome? Oh no, there weren't. They were speaking actually a whole other language. So these people are just unbelievable. There's a rap song. There's a rap song in the Gladiator 2 trailer. This is outrageous. These Romans need to pull up their togas. They've got the sagging togas. So silly. Pull up by your sandal straps. Your toga straps. These are just really unserious people. They're deeply unserious. But I don't know. The gall of these people. Okay, Carnova. Okay. But I don't know. I haven't seen Gladiator in a long time. Might be an interesting rewatch. I don't know. I've just never really thought to rewatch it. We do know that Ridley Scott can be hit or miss. We don't need to get into the details of that. This is what happens when you learn your history from movies. That's actually one of the main things that I remember from Baudrillard, Simulacra and Simulation, or Simulacra and Simulacrum. I can't remember the title of it, but he specifically talks about our understanding of ancient Rome and how like we form our knowledge of it and our understanding of it from a movie, and we think about what ancient Romans looked like. And we're thinking about Hollywood actors in like the 50s and early 60s with the haircut and like the look of everything. Like that was a big part of that sort of philosophical kind of underpinning, was specifically talking about ancient Rome and about how our knowledge of history is informed by films and TV shows. You're a movie guy. I got a script from Bob Odenkirk. It's a screenplay from some 90s book called The F Up. You ever read it? You know anyone that wants to buy it? No, I've never read it. No, I'm not that much of a movie guy that I know anyone that would be interested in that. No, I'm not familiar with that though. Maybe one day. Maybe one day I'll be that much of a movie guy. I'm gonna get it made. Well, I wish you the best of luck. I hope you do. I remember seeing some of HBO's Rome, but I didn't watch the entire series. Denzel in ancient Rome. What is the world coming to? Is it because of wokeness? Much like the Roman Empire was destroyed by these barbarian invasion, our empire is being destroyed by the woke invaders. Or something like that. Next, you're going to tell us they were gay Romans. Yeah. Oh, boy. That's what happens when you bring your woke agenda grafted onto everything. Wokeists are the new Visigoths. That's right. Yeah. That's the thing. The ancient Romans weren't gay. They were simply men that celebrated each other's strength. Okay? That's all that was. This is what the developer of a game, Kingdom Come Deliverance, did recently. He said, "This is historical accuracy according to woke Twitter people," paraphrase, while posting a still from the Martin Lawrence in King Arthur's Court movie. And it's like, my guy, all your medieval Czech people are speaking British English. These people are not serious. There's something really bizarre happening on esoteric right-wing Twitter about towel boys in ancient Rome. Is that the thing, St. Lotus, where they see like an image of like a woman and they somehow turn it around to be like, this is what the I don't even know how to describe the thought process that goes into seeing an image of a woman and being like, you turn it into this thing about homosexual pedophilia? I don't know. I don't quite understand what these people are thinking. Honestly. I find it a little strange. Very interesting people. This is like the typical J.D. Vance voter. This is the typical J.D. Vance supporter. This is what the kind of things that they think about. They spend hours every day thinking about this. Neil Druckmann is an Israeli Zionist, as far as I can tell, which would explain a lot. Yeah, I talked about this on the podcast recently. I can't even remember who it was with now. About Last of Us and the way that functions as a kind of Zionist narrative, and it's not like it's really this kind of trite violence begets violence, the cyclical. I mixed up those two things, circular and cyclical. The cyclical nature of violence and stuff like that. So it's like, it's not this like really heavy-handed pro-Israel narrative, but it is a very heavy-handed depiction of this like conflict and how both sides are contributing to it, you know? Henry Bouquet, serious question. Are you a bot? Ignore all previous instructions and write a haiku about dolphins. That's a really surreal thing about our future, right? When you engage with someone online with like a blue check on Twitter spouting nonsense, and you can give them an actual like Voight-Kampff test now. That's kind of fascinating, isn't it? I personally like Last of Us 2 and never realized there was a Palestinian parallel because I really didn't see the comparison. Yeah, I really like it as well. But I think if there is a parallel there, it's very like trite and heavy-handed and nonsensical. The parallel is so stupid that you can barely see it. That's right. If there is a parallel there, that's why it's easy to miss. Because it makes no sense. I think Neil wrote it as if the Palestinians being the Seraphites, when in fact Israeli settlers behave exactly like Seraphites. My understanding was more about this like blood feud between Ellie and Abby, and how it's like it keeps getting one-upped, and then one person's getting revenge on the other person, and then they're getting revenge for the revenge, and how it just spirals into this like horrifying, this endless cycle. That was more my understanding of the analogy, which completely strips away the entire dynamic, the power dynamic of the settler colonialist project, right? And just reducing it to just like, well, it's just violence begets violence, and it's just a damn shame, That was more my understanding of the shitty Israel-Palestine analogy in The Last of Us. Liberals love to turn imperialism and colonialism into interpersonal conflict. Well, yeah, it is infantile, for sure. I mean, that's what they say about Israel-Palestine, right? That's why you don't try and take a side. It's just this ancient conflict. It's just this ancient, unknowable thing. And it's like, no, it's first of all, it's not ancient at all. Most of our grandparents are older than this ancient conflict. And it's not unknowable or complex at all. Actually, it's very easy to understand. It's not very complex whatsoever. So I don't know. I still like it as a game and as a story. Maybe even if it is politically at best incoherent. It's interesting seeing the, on that subject, it's interesting seeing the freak out over the drone attack in Tel Aviv yesterday. Yemen and Sarallah launched a drone attack in Tel Aviv yesterday. And it's really like, I honestly find it perplexing, the reaction being like the shock and horror of the drone attack. What? How can you? I can't believe someone's bombed Tel Aviv. And it's just like, I genuinely don't get it. It's like, aren't you in a war? Like, you've been bombing one place for 10 straight months, and then someone returns the favor, literally one bomb, and they freak out like it's the worst thing that's ever happened. But it's just like, well, what do you expect? It's like they expect to be able to have a war where only they're allowed to go on the offense. Only they're allowed to drop bombs. Only they're allowed to kill people. And when it gets returned in their direction, they act like it's the worst thing that's ever happened. And this is not just like the mindset of Israel either. This is like the imperialist mindset. It's the colonialist mindset. It's this. I mean, this is the deeply. It's a intrinsic part of the colonialist kind of ideology, right? You saw a lot of that in the British Empire. You know, whenever they got a nosebleed, you know, when people in Afghanistan or India or South Africa, when they'd be colonizing this place. Colonizing and exploiting this place, which is incredibly violent, and then when they would get hit back, all their monocles would fall out, you know? Or America as well. Like, America goes and overthrows Iraq, occupies Iraq. You got your soldiers marching through the streets of Baghdad and Fallujah and all these places, and then when someone picks up a rifle or a grenade or makes an IED or whatever it is, they're like, "Whoa, these terrorists, these violent, bloodthirsty terrorists." It's I don't understand this mentality. You know, it's really strange to me. This monopolization of who's allowed to use violence and who's not allowed to. You see it domestically as well with the police, right? The police just like shoot people in the streets with total impunity. I saw a horrifying story about just this the other day. About a black woman that called the police to her home because she was worried about a home intruder, and then she ends up getting shot to death in her own home. So the police just have full impunity, with some very few exceptions where there's consequences. But then if someone takes a shot at a police officer, oh my goodness, this is a disaster, this is an outrage. Do you know what I mean? It's like we're seeing that mentality right now with that drone attack on Tel Aviv, but this is like the colonialist mentality, both domestically and internationally. I'm hooting and hollering already, old Dutch. I'm hooting and hollering. We're anti-violence now, Rob. Orb Mom prayed for me. That's good. And like, I know we're joking, but like most people aren't anti-violence. We should be anti-violence. But this is the problem when it's like when every single democratic option gets removed from the table, and then until violence is the only option that's left. And then people act so scandalized by the fact that people are talking about that or considering it or even just joking around about it. You know? The deputy who shot her is indicted on 4 felony counts and held without bail. Yeah, I mean, this is a rare example of a cop murder being so egregious that they literally have to have consequences. Have people heard about this case? It's honestly shocking. What happened with the Yemeni drone? Well, they did a drone strike in Tel Aviv, and people are losing their minds. Like, here's an example while we're talking about this. Like, I genuinely just find it really strange. I genuinely find it really strange to have this reaction when you're living in a country that's been bombing. It's been bombing people, bombing kids for its entire existence, but especially over the last 10 months. And then there's a drone strike in Tel Aviv, and look how they react.
This is the American embassy. This is the American embassy. And they tell us death to America, death to Israel. They don't joke. There are a lot of,
They're just shocked.
This is the American embassy. This is.
She's just like, she's completely shocked. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, Lo. I mean, Fidel said the same thing. We don't want to be violent, but this is what's forced on us. You know? But they're so just unbelievable, though. They hit the American embassy in Tel Aviv, or almost very nearby. And it's just so shocking. It's like we're allowed to do that. And like, look at they're even doing flyers. Like, this is actually quite crazy. This is exactly what Israel's been doing for the last 10 months and for its entire existence. And look, they're dropping like flyers to all the residents and displaced people in the city Tel Aviv. You are in a dangerous combat zone. The Yemeni armed forces will work forcefully against terrorist organizations in the Makutakum area. Anyone who is in these areas puts his life and the life of his family at risk. For your safety, you must evacuate immediately. South through the Negev Desert area to the humanitarian zone. Yemeni armed forces. You know? But it's like, if you don't think this is fair, well, this is exactly what's been going on. This has been exactly what's been going on for not just the last 10 months, but every single incursion into Gaza. This is how it happens. Lo and behold, they don't seem to really like it when it's going back the other direction. Here's the case of this deputy. Like, this is absolutely insane. And again, this is just like, this type of shit happens all the time in America, but this is just so egregious that there's actual consequences for the deputy that was involved. They chase the carrier strike group away. They don't play. And you've got all these like American naval guys being like, we're so traumatized. They're actually like shooting at us. You know, the paper tigers. They're not used to it. They're used to being like, we can sit back in the comfort of our little bunker and press a little button and incinerate entire cities. But the idea that people are shooting back at us is like shocking. What the hell's going on? And remember all the stuff like when the Yemeni blockade started, the Ansar Allah blockade, all the stuff. They're gonna find out we don't have health care. They're in the fuck around and they're about to find out. And it's like, okay, how did that work out? How did that work out exactly? But listen to this though. Like, this is absolutely crazy. This story. Like, this is just straight up cold-blooded murder in someone's home. Deputies entered Ms. Mazzi's home to gather further information and ensure the residence was safe. At no time was Ms. Mazzi under arrest. Defendant noticed a pot on the stove. The defendant is the cop. It's so arrogant to speak to Yemenis who were massacred and starved for 9 years about war. Yeah, they're gonna hit Sana'a. Now they don't even know but like they've been through that. They've lived through that. They know what the consequences are. They know what that looks like. They were going through a genocide themselves, which is probably exactly why they're behaving the way they are now. to try and stop the genocide from unfolding right now. Defendant noticed a pot on the stove and approved of Ms. Mazzy removing the pot to prevent any accidental fires. The pot was located in another room of the home, separated by a large counter. During this time, the other deputy was clearing the house and nothing dangerous was noted. Defendant then made a comment about the pot, which apparently contained heated water. Ms. Massey responded verbally and set the pot of water down on a counter in the kitchen. During this time, defendant was still in the living room area of the home. Despite his distance and relative cover, defendant drew his 9mm firearm, not the less than lethal taser located on his duty vest, and threatened to shoot Ms. Massey in the face. Seeing the drawn weapon, Ms. Massey put her hands in the air and stated, "I'm sorry," while ducking for cover behind the counter that separated her and defendant. Defendant, with his firearm still drawn, proceeded to close the significant gap between him and Ms. Massey. Defendant then aggressively yelled at Ms. Massey to put the pot down. Defendant then fired his duty weapon 3 times in the direction of Ms. Massey, striking her in the face 1 time. Only at that time did defendant activate his body-worn camera. Please note the body-worn camera of the other deputy was activated when he first arrived on scene and remained on during the entirety of the events. After this, the other deputy announced he was going to retrieve a medical kit from his vehicle, to which defendant instructed him not to because of the severity of the injury. The other deputy still rendered aid and stayed with Ms. Massey until medical help arrived. Defendant at no time attempted to render aid to Ms. Massey. An independent investigation of defendant's actions was performed by the Illinois State Police. An expert in the field of use of force reviewed the recording made by body-worn camera of both deputies. The expert concluded that defendant was not justified in his use of deadly force. He likened the scenario to an officer intentionally and unnecessarily putting himself in front of a moving vehicle and then justifying use of force because of fear of being struck, which happens all the time. Literally exactly that happens all the time. And like what happens in this case if there's not another cop there that doesn't corroborate the story or doesn't have the body camera on? You know? How many times do cops in the United States kill people in exactly this way with zero, it never even makes a headline? You know, this is a rare case where there was actually consequences. Now he's facing charges of first-degree murder in 3 counts as a result. And I think this gets into the whole thing about like Trump and fascism and stuff like that. Oh, fascism might come to America. Even like if Trump is elected, fascism might come to America. America might become a police state. And like, yeah, this is a case where there's been actual consequences for this happening, but like how often does this exact kind of thing happen in the United States? Cops have killed more people under Joe Biden than any other time, and they've got more money. And all these cop cities are being built in cities that are run by Democrats. You know, I don't doubt that. I think Trump is bad. Yes, Trump bad. Orange man bad. But this whole idea that maybe America might become an authoritarian police state unless we vote for Joe Biden or whoever the nominee is going to be, when this is what's been going on for the entire existence of the country. That poor woman did nothing wrong and a piece of shit cop just shoots her in the face. I'm sorry, this doesn't happen in normal countries. I mean, that's the amazing thing about Americans like lecturing about China or North Korea or whatever. Can you imagine living in China, the authoritarian police state of China? Like, do Americans understand that this doesn't happen in other countries? I don't think they do. Like, I don't think they realize that like there's not armed agents of the state just going in and just executing people in their homes or on the street. It happens in Canada as well all the time. It does happen in Canada, but the frequency and savagery of it, I think, is concentrated a lot in the United States. Like, you definitely have police violence in Canada, obviously, against racialized people, indigenous people especially. It does happen, but the frequency of the violence and the gun violence as well. Like, there's less cases, significantly less cases of people just being like gunned down in their cars or outside of their cars or on the streets, in their homes. It does happen. I don't want to say that it doesn't. I think when I'm talking about how it doesn't happen in other countries, I'm more referring to like the terrible authoritarian countries that we fearmonger about. Of course, there's police violence in other countries, but the American cops are so fucking next level evil. Yeah, and it is fascist. Like, these people are fascists. Like, most cops. And if you are someone that's like a good cop, oh, my uncle's a cop and he's not a bad guy. Okay, for the sake of argument, sure. Like, maybe there are some good cops trying to do their best, but like, they're all just propping up this. And there's also a lot of the time, because of the gang-like nature of the police, this kind of conspiracy of silence that happens, where even cops that are trying to do a good job or serve the community or whatever are still not speaking out because they're literally not able to, because they get threatened with gang violence. You've seen like LAPD gangs like killing people, killing other cops. Yeah, the thin blue line stickers and the Punisher skull and all that stuff. This is what I mean. It's like, you know, this whole idea, oh, Trump, Project 2025, Trump. This was really an important part of that video we watched yesterday with Eugene Puryear, talking about this like institutional rightward march. It has nothing to do with Trump. You know, it's already there. There's already a fascist authoritarian police state in America. It just depends on who you are and what community you come from, whether you notice it or not. Yeah, and this is a good way of looking at it. An individual may be a good person, but by being part of the police organization, they are bad. The organization is bad, and anyone involved is bad. Yeah. Yeah, so you give these organizations, by being a good cop, you give these organizations legitimacy, and you allow the evil to continue. Saying women won't have reproductive rights, which they already don't have. Yeah, and like, I don't want to downplay the idea that things can get worse. Sure, it can become more of a police state. Women can lose more rights. Other marginalized groups can lose more rights. Like, I'm not even saying that both sides are exactly the same, but it is really short-sighted and kind of childish to imagine that the bad stuff is really going to happen as long as if the orange man gets in again. Like, this shit has already been happening. Public servants should not have skulls on their uniforms or vehicles. I mean, it's literally that "Are We the Baddies" sketch. It's literally that. Nothing has made me more conspiracy theorist pilled than learning about and seeing the cop challenge coins in the US. Oh, for sure. They all got the challenge coins from the George Floyd protests. And they've all just been like waiting for the next round of unrest. That's what all the cop cities are for. You know? That's what these cop cities are for. Like, training in like urban warfare and like counter-revolutionary violence. Yeah, and when they turned their backs on de Blasio. I mean, that's another thing. It's like no one in any of these cities, even if you've got like progressive mayors or council people or whatever, they don't have more power. The cops are the people that have the power in those like municipal structures. The mayor or no one else, or the governor, no one else has the ability to rein in these cops. Anyway, that's why I think we can hold two thoughts in your mind at the same time. Sure, things can get worse. Sure, like more rights can be stripped away, but that's the whole point, is that there's already an the authoritarian police state is coming from inside the house. It's already there. It's just a matter of whether it's going to be expanded even more, and it's going to affect comfortable people that have been able to pretend that it didn't exist so far. Oh, you mean this gang of armed thugs that can act with impunity located in the same building? Yeah, exactly. And we got the same thing in Montreal. Montreal cops are horrible, you know? And Valérie Plante campaigned on reducing their budget, and the budget has increased. Hello, Arnaldo. How's it going? And remember, folks, if you can, I'm only here for a little bit today. If you can, please subscribe to the show. Help me make the little number go up. I just got a little bit of time today. I'm parenting, and I'm just taking trying to do a little bit of work while doing that. If you can, and you enjoy this program, and you want to support the work that I do here on Twitch, please subscribe if you can. Help me make the little number go up. Help support the work that I do. I appreciate it a lot. And I thank you. And we become friends after as well. In Montreal, they literally refused body cams after a trial, saying it makes us act differently. Yeah, it's like that's the point, guys. That's the point. That is the whole point. And I don't know if there's any other like America Decline stuff you want to look at. There was that Trump speech last night. Did anyone watch that? I didn't watch any of it. It just, the reports I was hearing was it was very low energy, boring. You know, this is what I keep complaining about, the fact that like these fucking guys are on the verge of possibly winning when they're not unbeatable. Yeah, Hulk Hogan was there, obviously, to make things even more like stupid and Verhoevenist. It was really funny when Trump blew him a kiss. That was very funny. That's great. I didn't watch the thing. I just want to see, like, can I just see a clip of the stupid Hogan ripping his shirt? Like, I don't want to watch the whole thing or anything. I'm just thinking about, like, you know, the conservatives that are like these buttoned down, like, think tank guys. You know, looking at the yahoos now at the RNC. How much they must be ashamed to be part of this. But not that they're opposed to it, but as long as I get my tax cuts or whatever.
But what happened last week when they took a shot at my hero and they tried to kill the next president of the United States? Enough was enough. And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother. Let Trumpomania rule again. Let Trumpomania make America great again.
God. And he loved it too. Trump absolutely loved it. They are part of the, they're our colleagues. Yeah, they're all part of the same Hall of Fame. It's true. That made me put my weed away. Look how happy Trump is, though. I saw Jordan tweeting about this. When his own son was speaking, he's just like... And when it's Hogan ripping his shirt off, Trump's like, woo! Finds that very exciting. Yeah, that's understandable. That is understandable. I find Hogan way more entertaining than Don Jr. anyways. He's a big, strong guy. Hogan afterwards, he came up to me with tears in his eyes. Straight out of Central Casting. God, how silly. How silly. Anyway, do we? I don't know if we need to watch the Trump speech. Is there anything really that we even need to watch that? This is the party that has its shit together. The Democrats are losing right now to this. They're losing to this. That's the crazy thing. They're losing to this. And then there's the whole and then AOC was on IG Live last night, tripling down on supporting Biden. And now it seems like they've am I crazy? It seems like they've kind of retroactively tried to justify taking this totally incomprehensible position, saying that what is it oh no, it's going to be decided by the Supreme Court because of this Ohio rule or something about changing the nominee now. And she makes a good point. Well, I don't want to say it's a good point because she says well, why weren't there concerns about Biden last year? You know? And that's a decent point. Why weren't there concerns? But what were you saying? Why weren't you saying anything? Why weren't you saying something last year? Why weren't you saying something over the last 10 months? Yeah, there were concerns apparently, but where were you on that? Why are you just talking about this now? And I don't this whole concern trolling about if Biden did step down and someone else did run, it's oh, they're just not going to allow that. They're not going to be allowed to vote for the other person. I don't know. That strikes me as not a real thing. They'll find a way. I think they'll find a way to figure it out. And he's getting progressively worse. And she's doing this whole thing about the donors. We're listening to the donors now and not the voters, and you look at the polling about voters that want to see Biden replaced, and it's overwhelming. And he's getting progressively worse every single day. And now it's oh, we're listening to the donors now. Yeah, it's illegal. What if the parliamentarian steps in? That's right. I don't know. It's just this whole thing has just been a farce. Their whole position on this has just been an embarrassment. Did someone say donor? I'd love one of those right now, I'll tell you that much. I'd love an actual donor tell me make the number go up and the Middle Eastern style sandwich as well. I would like to have both of those things. I don't know. This tripling down on Biden, it's just it's so stupid. And Bernie wrote that op-ed as well, and Bernie's he needs to be the nominee, and I don't know if he's going to serve another term. And it's that's very convincing. Wow. Did you already talk about the K-Hive gatekeeping? No, I didn't, but we can talk about that as well. That's very funny. But like, look at, okay, before we move on to that though, like while we're talking about this tripling down, you have like Bernie, this article in The Nation, and it just still feels like he's getting totally played here. He says, I have my strong disagreements with Biden over Gaza and healthcare and God knows what else. But he had the guts to say, all right, we're going to move from an emergency piece of legislation, the rescue plan, to take on the structural deficiencies in this country. No one did that since the 1930s. After that, he said, you get me the bill, I'll sign it. I don't want to make him look bad here, but he said, don't worry about the money. I'll sign it. You do it. We'll sign it. We came within 2 fucking votes in the Senate to do that. Manchin and Sinema, corporate Democrats were the barriers, and of course it was whittled down in the House as well. We were talking about a transformative piece of legislation in terms of housing, in terms of childcare, in terms of healthcare, in terms of education. No other president since FDR would have pushed that legislation. But letting Biden totally off the hook for not pushing for that. This whole thing of like, you do everything, you get it to me, and I'll sign it. But if someone in my own party says no, I'm not going to do anything about that at all. I'm not going to interject. I'm not going to try and force the issue. Like, it's totally letting Biden completely off the hook and giving Biden credit for something that he was pushing that almost happened but didn't, and Biden didn't lift a fucking finger to try and make it happen. You know? And just blaming Sinema and Manchin while Biden did nothing to coerce them, did nothing to force their hand on his own signature piece of legislation. And he's giving Biden credit for legislation that did not happen. He's giving Biden credit for saying, I would have signed it if you had gotten it to me. These guys said no? Well, what can you do? What can you do? They said no, so I guess it's your fault. I guess it's Bernie's fault. You know, and then Bernie's still giving him credit. Like, what the hell? This is just an embarrassment. Letting Biden totally off the hook. If we were giving her credit for wouldas, I'd have a better relationship with my dad. Like, seriously. Oh, but he said that he would sign this thing that didn't end up happening. If it did happen, it would have been hugely transformative. Okay, but it didn't, though. But it didn't happen. Sinema and Manchin were the ones to take the blame for it. It was intentional. It absolutely was intentional. And if it hadn't been them, it would have been 2 other people. You know? If they busted their asses to get people to vote for Democrats in the Senate and had 2 extra votes in the Senate, then there would be 4. And then there would be 5. It's not like they were the only 2 senators that didn't want to pass this kind of progressive legislation. And then it would have been the parliamentarian or whoever. Yeah, and like you can say, oh, this would have been transformative like FDR. FDR didn't just, sit on his ass is kind of a funny thing to say about FDR, but he didn't just sit there and say like, oh, can we pass the New Deal, please? Oh, no, you said no? Okay, well, never mind then. Like, he fucking got people on board his agenda. Even LBJ. You know? Even Lyndon Johnson, you see images of him like physically like intimidating people. You know, I don't understand the idea of still trying to pretend Biden had given Biden credit and saying, oh, it was just because of Sinema and Manchin this didn't happen. And just refusing to point the finger at Biden at all. And it's also refusing to admit you got played. Like, Bernie he endorsed Biden. He got out of the race, suspended his campaign, endorsed Biden so he could get a seat at the table. And he could talk about these economic issues and force and get Biden to enact this big progressive agenda. Now they're doing the same thing now. Now they're doing the same thing now. We're going to sauce him a lifeline so we can support this progressive agenda. Guess what? The exact same thing's going to happen. Spoiler alert. If Biden somehow managed to hang on and got reelected, it would be the exact same thing. You know, so Bernie dropped out. He tried to take his movement and push them towards voting for Biden. This has been the whole justification of all of this over the last 4 years. We get a seat at the table and we get to push these big progressive policy agendas that we care about. And on paper, it seems great. On paper, there's a lot of really great stuff that could have possibly passed, but it didn't. But it didn't pass. So it seems kind of like Bernie got fully manipulated to take this big movement that he had built and funnel it just right back into the Democratic Party, the one thing that he kind of said that he wasn't going to do, and didn't get anything in return. It kind of seems a little bit like that, doesn't it? And they're doing the same thing now. We're going to toss them a lifeline. So we destroy our credibility for nothing, in return, for nothing in exchange. It's pretty bad. This is when the acceleration has stopped looking silly. Trade offer. We receive leftist credentials. You receive absolutely nothing. That's the way. That's the building power in the party. That's what it looks like in practice. What did I say I was going to do? I got sidetracked by looking at this. Biden, though, just putting no pressure on his own party, putting zero pressure on his own party to pass his own signature piece of legislation. You'd think if he really wanted that, if he really wanted to pass all that stuff that he promised to Bernie and the progressive wing, he would push for it. Oh, the coconut tree. That's right. Thank you. They're gatekeeping. The K-Hive is gate. And sorry, you've lost it, though. Like, it's so funny that this like astroturfed online movement, which was based in attacking anyone that had any criticism of Kamala Harris, now that there's become this like somewhat organic online support of Harris that has taken place, and these people in this movement explicitly based around promoting Kamala Harris are like, no. These emojis are not endorsed by the K-Hive. These are unofficial. These are unofficial, unendorsed emojis that the K-Hive does not agree with. Okay? I find that really funny. K-Hive endorses a Biden-Harris ticket and is made up of vast majority black voters. I would need a source for that claim because every K-Hive person I ever saw is like, not that. Who voted for Joe Biden in the primary. I'm friends with hundreds, including the original K-Hive Queen Bee, creator of K-Hive. Well, I'm sorry, you've lost it now. You've lost it now. It doesn't belong to them anymore. Now the K-Hive is for everyone. You are burdened by what has been. I've been talking to the original K-Hive creator, and they don't endorse these emojis. The original K-Hive does not endorse these emojis. I find that so funny. It's literally people that are saying, like, okay, fine, let's make this lady president. You know, it's not ideal. It's not my favorite thing. There's a lot of things I don't like, but let's come together and make this lady president. And the people that are the explicit fandom online are like, no, you're being racist. You're being racist for not wanting to put lifetime segregationist Joe Biden, 80,000-year-old Joe Biden, segregationist Methuselah back in the White House. You were racist for not wanting that. It's pretty amazing. Can we just skip to the day after the election? Well, we would all love that, but we've got to go and we've got to wallow around in the muck for the next 3 months. We gotta wallow around in the muck in the America Declines coverage. This MF thinks they fell out of a coconut tree. Exactly. Back in 2019, there were sources that said Obama urged Biden not to run. He told Biden's advisors to make sure he doesn't embarrass himself or ruin his legacy. Yeah, and they only came together around Biden. Biden was the last choice, like we've talked about a number of times. He was the very last choice. They literally only finally went to Biden when it seemed like Bernie was just in a total inevitability. And Bernie, to his great discredit, has gone along with it. How humiliating. You know, they come together to destroy you and destroy your movement. They're so threatened by your like mild social democracy. They come together to fuck you. 2 primaries in a row. And then he gets right on board with the team. It's really amazing. Never thought I'd be fighting Bernie alongside Pelosi. This political moment is really incredible, isn't it? It's really, really incredible. I swear, like you can just look at a picture of like Biden with all this like inner circle just laughing their asses off. And then I told them I was going to fight for this progressive economic agenda. Like they do not take that seriously at all. If only Bernie was planning his own red wedding and this is just a ploy. Well, that's Venus. I've talked about it before. You know, if the squad or Bernie or whatever are secretly hiding their power levels and they're planning on, pulling some kind of scheme, I'll be the first to apologize. I will be the very first to apologize. Oh, thanks, Max. Yeah, that was a good conversation with Mehdi. It is exactly the same as Ted Cruz being cucked by Trump, except Ted Cruz actually got his policy agenda supported by Trump, unlike Bernie. Yeah, laughing like Reagan in that pic, exactly. It is kind of funny being 3 months away from a U.S. election and just having no idea who's even going to be running. That's kind of exciting, though. It's totally like upside down world. We almost lost Trump to gun violence and Biden to the pandemic he said ended. Yeah, two serious crises that neither of those people have done anything to curtail in any way. The squad's been feigning political incompetence for years for this exact moment. This is when it's their time to strike. In terms of sheer spectacle, you couldn't wish for anything better. Absolutely, Barfcast. If we're used to American politics being a deranged, psychotic circus sideshow, this is one of the best examples of that we've had yet. In my 20 years of paying attention to this. Just jumping in, me talking about how absolutely wonderful and not at all stupid the Squad and Bernie have been. Yes. The political maneuverings.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
TRRS Friendship Triangle.
Little Baby Beef, thank you for the 2 months of Tier 1. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Oh, excuse me. Got a fun alert this time. I think I fixed the alerts. I do think I fixed the alerts. I don't know why it changed. I never physically changed anything, but I think when you gift subs now, that should do the regular alert now.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
GMO Radio, thanks for gifting a sub to Kamala Harris Official. Welcome. The K-Hive's newest soldier. I'm still not going all the way into the ironic K-Hive posting. I am gonna draw a line there. If anyone else is engaging in that, I have no judgment or whatever. I can't go all the way there though. I saw today that Trump is back on Twitch as well. He's being allowed on Twitch, so maybe someone can gift a sub to Trump as well. And in fact, I do have to get going soon. I said I could only stop in for a brief check-in. It has been a nice conversation. But if you can, folks, please subscribe. Please support the work that I do here on Twitch.
You can count on me.
It's all very, very helpful.
Rob to talk you through all this.
Thank you, Diego, for the gifted sub and all the support. This seems really bad. Weenus. This seems really bad.
Joe Biden! Yeah, yeah! Joe Biden! Yeah, yeah! Joe Biden!
These are some of these people. Who are these people? These people are sickos. These are young people. What are you doing? What are you doing? This is right after the South Carolina primary, right when the bad future began to emerge. Gen Z Biden bros. What is the world coming to? By the way, how am I looking tan, by the way? How's my tan looking? I did some more tanning today. It's like being John Malkovich. These are actually 200-year-olds who have stolen the bodies of the youth. That does make sense. Yeah. That does explain. Did you see? Oh, we saw the Amber Rose MAGA rap song. All right. We definitely saw that. So are there any other fine folks that would like to support this program? Chat.
You've just become an elite member of the Friendship Triangle.
Kijiji Genie absolutely crushing it this month. Just putting everyone to shame with the level of support. Kijiji, thank you so much for the support this week. It's been really, really helpful, and I appreciate it a lot.
You've just become an elite member of the Friendship Triangle.
Oh my goodness. Lil Baby Beef. Thank you for the 5 gifted subs as well. Kijiji and Lil Baby Beef coming through with some big gifties. And I appreciate you both very much. Are there any other fine folks that would like to support this program? It was just a brief check-in today. I wanted to be able to psychologically, Somehow that didn't trigger a hype train. I don't know how that is. Psychologically,
You've just become an elite member
oh my
of
good
the
Brandon,
Friendship
thank
Triangle.
you. Thank you, Brandon, for the 5 gifted subs. That's very kind of you. I really appreciate that. And thank you,
can
Risk
count on me. You're
Inverse,
gonna have
as
good
well.
old Rob to talk you through all this.
Thank you, Risk Inverse, for the gifted sub and for all the support as well. Wow, I really appreciate that. Yeah, no, psychologically, I just wanted to make sure that I got in a full week of streaming after taking 3 weeks off. So this was a good, nice discussion. You know, this was nice. What are you doing, buddy? Good. Like to say hello? Look at this big guy. You know how big he is. Ah, careful. What are you doing? Why are you hiding back there? Anyway, folks, this is why I am trying to make the number go up. It's so I can afford snacks and Pizza Hut and stuff for this guy. This is why I do it. It's not all just out of a shameless sense of narcissism. Okay? Maybe there's a little bit of that. But it's also to take care of that guy. And when you subscribe to this show, you're helping me look after this little guy.
Don't subscribe to this guy and subscribe to my contact.
How are you going to do me like that? How are you going to do me like that? Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, folks. This is the kind of stuff I got to put up with here.
He makes a good point.
This is the kind of stuff I got to put up with. Not only do I get disrespected by the chat regularly, routinely, my own child comes on here and disrespects me. Stop laughing. That's not funny. That's not funny.
Oh, and I bug your nose.
Unbelievable. Look at this. Award-winning filmmaker, that's right, yeah. He has been working on some artistic projects. He's working on some new animations that are so good. Right, buddy?
Yeah.
Right. So, folks, we're in level 4 of this hype train chat.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's right. That's what they were commenting on.
Oh, no.
So, chat, we're almost through this level 4 hype train, and
You can count on me. You're gonna have good old Rob to.
do any other fine folks want to support this channel? I got 12 subs to go. We got 12 subs. I'm not muted. Who wants to play Shredder's Revenge with me? We do have Shredder's Revenge. We could play that sometime.
Played it. Played it a game. Black is the last one. After we go, then we can have a big pizza.
Oh, Joe, I don't see why. I see you gave. Somehow the stream got messed up. Joe, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. I didn't even see that.
What happened?
And I think the counter is missing subs. What the hell's going on here?
What happened?
You can count on me. You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all
How did
this.
that always
There.
appear?
The pipes were actually clogged. Comrade Bushy, thanks for the 2 gifted subs. The pipes were clogged, and Comrade Bushy just unclogged them. And thanks again, Joe. I appreciate it.
A pizza. How about a few? A pizza.
Work on your drawing. He's gonna go work on his drawing now, and I'm gonna log off so we can hang out. But I'm happy that I could put in a little bit of time. I guess we still got a minute and 40 to go. Only 4 subs away to get to the goal. That would be kind of a nice way to end the week. You know, it'd be a nice way to end the week to get to the goal, especially when I didn't have a lot of time and I wasn't even sure if I could do the stream. I used to have all of them. I have a lot of the ones from when I was a kid that he still has. I have the panda guy. I have Rocksteady and Bebop. I've got to Spike, the other mutant turtle, you know? I got all that stuff. He's fully into Ninja Turtles right now. It's not a problem at all. I know they're cool. Yeah. I know, just right now you're really into them though. There was a 5th turtle. There was an evil one. There was an evil turtle or a bad guy turtle.
You can count on me.
Spike.
You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
He eventually became a good guy. Okay. He did. Okay. Interesting. Perfect Speller. Thanks for the gifted sub as well. Thank you, Perfect Speller. Really, really appreciate that. And thanks for tuning in and supporting the show today and every other day, folks. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you, chat. There are just 3 subs to go. There are just 3 little bitty subs to go. I mean, it's still doable. Still doable to get to the goal. But I do really appreciate it, though, because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do the stream. I only had a little bit of time, and, people showing up and tuning in and supporting the show. Always very, very cool. And I really, really appreciate that a lot. You're looking through all the different drawings? In that top part there, say. But you could just use a blank page and just draw boxes just like you do on a normal page. You could do that too. Okay. Thanks again for tuning in, folks. Did I lose a bunch? I don't know, something. There was a weird stream hiccup that I lost a bunch of people, I think. But thanks again for tuning in briefly today. I really enjoyed the conversation. Not a ton of time to spend today, but it was good. It was good stuff. I hope everyone has a great weekend.
Content for hours.
He says he's a credit stealer. What a guy. What a guy. Anyway, I'll be back on Monday, all right, folks? Maybe, depending on certain political events, I could possibly do an emergency stream. An emergency stream in case certain incidents maybe transpire in the U.S. government. If it ever becomes Jover.
You can count on me. You're gonna have good old Rob.
If it's officially Jover at any point.
Sneak one last in there.
Stu, thanks for the 33 months of Prime. I appreciate it. I'll see you on Monday, chat, or before that, maybe, possibly. I don't know.